Welcome to the online Sunday service of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Urbana-Champaign. Our mission is to build community, seek inspiration, promote justice, and find peace. I am Reverend Florence Kaplow, the minister of this church, coming to you live from my sun porch with the help of so many people, including local community radio station WRFU at 104.5 FM, streaming this live this morning as well. Thank you, WRFU. This is one of my favorite services of the year, and I know that there are a lot of others that feel the same way. This is our annual bridging service, one of our Unitarian Universalist traditions, where we honor those who are transitioning from youth to young adulthood. Generally, people who are 18, graduating from high school and heading off into the next chapters of their lives. We take a moment to hear their words, to acknowledge their gifts, and to give them our wholehearted blessings, with the knowledge that wherever they go, they carry us with them, and we continue to carry them in our hearts. They will always be part of our community, and we send them out into their young adulthood with our love. Our two bridgers today are very special. They have both grown up in this congregation. That is not always the case, and so we have a special connection with these two, Emma Herzog and Jordan Simons. And they were both also active in our youth group as teens. In addition, they are both musicians, and they chose the music for this service and also will be offering their own music to us this morning. Emma will be playing the prelude in just a moment, and then you will hear Jordan during our offertory. I also want to really acknowledge our spectacular youth coordinator, Emily McCown, who you also often hear offering music for us, and the wonderful youth advisors as well. Emily really was the designer of this service in conjunction with me and the Bridging Youth. If you have a joy or sorrow to be shared aloud this morning, you will see a email address to send that joy or sorrow to during our prelude, and then they will be read later in the service. Each Sunday, we have begun our Sunday services with a land acknowledgement. Wherever you are this morning, please bring to mind the indigenous peoples of your place as I speak these words of acknowledgement, and then we'll have a moment of silence after the acknowledgement. We recognize and acknowledge that we gather today on indigenous land, taken through deception, coercion, and violence. We acknowledge the continued displacement and oppression of Native peoples and honor their commitments to survival, identity, and the protection of our world. Today, I would like to particularly acknowledge the pandemic that is sweeping through Native communities, with echoes of trauma that go back centuries. We will now have a moment of silence. Our Interim Director of Religious Education, Dr. Michelle Townsend Grove, will offer our chalice lighting this morning.
Good morning. I am Michelle Grove, the Interim Director of Religious Education with this congregation, and am thrilled beyond belief to honor Emma and Jordan as they bridge today. I would like to light a special chalice, one that looks like this. This one was made by Ursula Reuter Carlson, and Ursula has made a chalice for each of our bridgers today. So after the worship at some point in the next couple of weeks, I'll make sure you get these. So these are the words of today's chalice lighting. May the light of this chalice guide you as you leave the known and step into the unknown, as you transition from youth to young adulthood, as you stretch your wings and fly even higher than you have ever flown before. This community cares deeply for you and is better because of the gifts you share. Blessed be.
This moment in a person's life where they prepare to leave their family home and the schooling that happens through 12th grade and go on with their lives is truly one of the great transitions. And it is also a transition for everyone else who loves that person, and particularly parents and siblings, but also the church community. And what you'll see next is a slideshow honoring the babyhood, toddlerhood, childhood of our two Bridgers, photos supplied by the family, with original music by our own Josh Bell.
1, 2, 3, 4.
divisions, I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony, building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? with all of our voices and all of our visions. Friends, we could make such sweet harmony.
I hope you enjoyed that slideshow as much as I did. It was really something to see a kind of time lapse of the first 18 years of their lives at this moment, this significant and pivotal moment. One of our traditions within our bridging service is to have a young adult, someone who is not too far from having bridged themselves, share some words of wisdom, encouragement, inspiration for the bridgers as they prepare, as Michelle said, to take flight. This year we have Jonah Herzog, Emma's older brother, offering a few words.
I may have said this before, at some point in time, but honestly, I wish the entire general public had grown up in a YRUU church. I mean, if you think about it, all the songs we'd sing would have conscientious, uplifting, healthy messages. Everyone would know how to comfortably and supportively approach topics of conversation as we're taught in the OWL curriculum. And most of all, that there are people here that believe a multitude of truths. And that is not only okay, but that is healthy. The outside world, alas, is not all YRUU, and there are going to be times when you find that the music people sing or listen to contains themes that you don't agree with, some topics of conversation will draw judgment from others, and when ideological pluralisms aren't always shown acceptance by everyone. What I can say, at least from my experience, is that no matter what environment you find yourself in, generally, when you show others the YRUU in you, the acceptance, the comfort, the support, they, more likely than not, will give it right back to you. Being an adult seems like a huge world, a challenging time, a big personal step. But what has certainly captured my mindset regarding the whole deal, and what you might think of here, is this, is that all challenges, all transitions, and all new eras in your life are a process. No matter how sudden college or young adulthood may seem to you, people don't change overnight. You might be an adult in age, sure, but more than likely you've still got that same spark inside you as you do now. You can be an adult without being a grown-up. At least not yet. So I will finish with this. On one hand, for you, now the fun begins. You get to make your own way here. You get to decide how you want to go about life and who you're going to surround yourself with. You now have the ability to shape what you're doing and where you're going, and chances are you're going to make a lot of really meaningful connections along the way. And on the other hand, your family, your old friends, and your church congregation here, we're not going anywhere. And if you find that this new stage is not what you're looking for, you're always going to have us there for you. So go out and use whatever cliche you want. Set the world on fire. Live your dream. Do that thing that you were setting out to do. But always remember that you will have us there behind you.
Sorry for that little glitch. Our Zoom connection crashed. Maybe that so many churches are on Zoom that it got overwhelmed for a moment, but we're back. Just thank you to Jonah for those words. As I was listening, I was thinking with some poignancy that we hope that our young adults are able to be leaving home in the fall, not necessarily doing college from home, but we don't know yet. So just acknowledging that reality. In a moment, you will hear the words of one of our bridgers, Jordan Simon. Jordan grew up in our church with his parents, Kathy Richards and Dan Simons, and sister Ella. He is a classical musician, among his many other gifts, playing the clarinet. You will hear him during the offertory a little later in the service. And he is known by others for his dry wit and sense of humor. Please, let's hear the words of Jordan Simons.
Hello, my name is Jordan Simons, and I am a bridger. I have been attending this church with my family for as long as I can remember, so naturally, this is an important moment for me. I have participated in the YRUU program throughout my time here, and before I go any further, I would like to thank all of the YRUU teachers I've had over the years for their guidance and teaching. Thank you to the Neighboring Faiths class for showing me the different ways people around the world choose to worship, and how we all share a lot in common with each other. Thank you to YRUU for giving me a place where ideas can be shared out and where all people are welcome. And finally, thank you to OWL for doing what my middle school health class didn't. Combined, these classes have given me a much more open and accepting outlook than most of my straight, white, male classmates, and for that, I am truly grateful. When we were discussing plans for this service, we agreed that our final address to the congregation as youth should be a last hurrah, an opportunity to once more share a perspective unique to ourselves. So how has the church impacted me specifically? When we first came to this church, I also joined the children's choir. Every few weeks, we would walk out onto the stage in front of oh so many people, wearing our fancy street clothes that had no words on them. Excuse me. To be honest, I didn't always feel like a part of the choir, because I didn't always sing. I mouthed along silently, anticipating with fear the deafening roar that would come after, that felt like it could knock me over backwards, freeze me in place. Applause. I would position myself towards one side of the choir, so the ramp was as close as possible, so I could quickly escape the spotlight. Yet I found as time went on that the applause never injured me, never paralyzed me. In fact, many people in the audience weren't looking at me at all. Rather, they were watching the conductor, the pianist, someone who is enthusiastically feeling the beat, or even just their coffee mugs. Even on the days I didn't sing, the days a note didn't come out, the days I made a mistake, the applause still came. The roar was deafening, but I learned it wasn't all for me. It was for the choir as a whole. I could make a mistake and nobody would know. I could be in the spotlight and still go back to hiding again. This spring, I qualified for all-state band on the clarinet. I walked into the first audition room and played. A note squeaked, but I knew that other people squeak during their auditions as well, that I won't be singled out for it, that the applause won't stop. I kept playing, and I barely made the honor band, which is the top band at Allstate. Sitting near to last chair, behind a bunch of child prodigies. Not because I am one myself, I'm definitely not, but because the church taught me some important things all these years ago. Nobody expects perfection, and no musician plays alone. They can all be hidden in plain sight together. Now, you may notice that this entire speech hasn't even mentioned COVID-19, how my graduation is online, how my future is in question. I did this because of what I mentioned earlier. This is meant to be a last hurrah, about something that was instrumental, pun intended, to my current self specifically. And COVID doesn't just impact me, it impacts everyone. We are all hiding inside our homes together. As I finalize my plans for college, along with many in this generation, we all face the same uncertainties. This fall, I plan to attend Lawrence University, located in Appleton, Wisconsin. I chose it because it is a place where I will be able to major in science, in a science field, while still participating in the music ensembles at a high level, like I have enjoyed during high school. I may decide to defer for a year to avoid an experiment in online learning caused by the pandemic. My parents predict that if this continues, many of my classmates will make the same decision. We all do make up an interdependent web of existence, after all. With that said, I want to thank everyone listening once more for helping make me into who I am today. I may not have singled all of you out today, but for all of you, I applaud.
Thank you, Jordan. What a beautiful last hurrah. And what good words to inspire us all. And as you mentioned, we are part of the interdependent web of all existence. And in that spirit, in this time of the service, we lift up our interconnections with each other, with the larger community, and with the world. First, I want to acknowledge something rather extraordinary that happened over the last few days, but has actually taken weeks, even months to prepare for, which is our annual auction, which is our largest major fundraising event of the year. It was scheduled for mid-April as an in-person auction, as it's always been, with dinner and live auction and all kinds of fun. And then COVID-19 hit. And the auction team spent a while talking about what to do about this, hoping that maybe they could put it off until June, and then realizing, oh no, that won't work. And with tremendous courage and vision and willingness and tech savviness, they moved our auction to an entirely online platform, and many of you made donations of services and items to make the auction wonderful. And we had it over the last 3 nights. And here's the most amazing part. We raised more than $23,000 in this auction for our church. So thank you to the auction team, to every person who donated, and to every person who participated. We go on, resilient and strong and generous. Also, I just want to acknowledge that in this time of online services, we have people listening from all over. Some of you are deeply connected to our church, and some might be listening for the very first time. if that's you, we really want you to know that you are part of us, that we would love to connect with you. You can sign up for our email newsletter that comes out weekly on the live stream page, and peruse our website for upcoming services. Next Sunday, Julie Laut and I are collaborating on a service that I think, if you've seen our other collaborations, they've been powerful. We are able to create pretty incredible services together. And this one, the title is Days Like This, Living the Impossible. So I hope you'll consider joining us next week. In the spirit of shameless self-promotion, I'd also like to invite you next Saturday at 7 p.m. to join me for an online slideshow that I'll be offering of Zen Buddhist monasteries and temples of Japan. This was a auction item in last year's fundraiser. Some of you actually bid on it and are already in and will be getting an email from me. But it's open to everyone. If you can make a small donation to the church as part of coming, it can be a very small donation. That would be wonderful. But also, you are welcome to join us and see these beautiful photographs of temples and gardens and monasteries of Japan from my pilgrimage times there. Love to see you there next Saturday. You can find that information on our website. I also want to say that being in the middle of a pandemic reminds us, makes real our interconnections. And you may have heard that Champaign County now has one of the fastest rates of transmission of any county in the country due to the outbreak at the Rantoul packing plant. What this means is, even on this very, very beautiful Memorial Day weekend, please be careful. Be really careful. Wear a mask when you're out. Wash your hands a lot. Really maintain that physical distance, because there are so many vulnerable people in our community, and we want to keep them all safe, and we want to keep you safe. So please keep that in mind. The Urbana Friends have asked us to join in a national day of mourning tomorrow on Memorial Day. So I hope you'll also consider doing that. And you can find more information on their Facebook page about that national day. I'll also, a little later in the service, you'll hear about a important new opportunity for generosity in our congregation in response to the disaster unfolding, of course, in our community and everywhere else. Each month, we share half of our Sunday offering with an organization in alignment with our values voted on by members and friends each year. For the month of May, that organization is Sistering CU, which provides support to mothers of newborns free of charge. You can read more about them on our website. The offering will now be received with music offered by our own Jordan Simons and his mother, Kathy Richards, who you'll hear her piano but not see her. Please enjoy. Thank you for your generosity expressed in this and so many other ways. And also thank you to Kathy and Jordan for their generosity offering us that glorious music. Each Sunday when we gather in person or virtually, we carry our individual joys and sorrows with us into our time together. At this time, please bring to mind your concerns, your joys that may be in your heart or that you're feeling for others in your life. We will sing a blessing song. The words will appear on your screen in just a moment. You can let the words wash over you as a blessing, or join in and sing with the congregation our joys and sorrows blessing song. You'll also see an email address there to send any joys or sorrows you would like read aloud this morning. So for our shared joys and sorrows this morning, I'd like to begin with one from Jim and Sandy Hannum. A concern for our brother-in-law, Mick, who struggles with for life with COVID-19 and underlying health problems. Please keep him, my sister, and our family in your heart. From Ellen Jacobson, sorrow for the diminishing social cohesion surrounding the response to COVID and the many groups struggling disproportionately. Joy for a group of 6 scarlet tanagers who joined us for over 2 weeks of eating suet and oranges. Alas, they seem to have moved on yesterday, but what joy they brought. From Opa and Oma, Alex Herzog, Emma's grandparents. What a joy to be your grandparents, Emma. From Family Pitchell, prayers for those in Midland, Michigan who have lost their homes due to flooding from the dam breaking. From Julie Lout, I am in mourning for the nearly 100,000 people in the United States who have died from the novel coronavirus. I work to hold them and their loved ones in my heart while also finding hope in the new ways of being in community we are building despite the pandemic. And Julie is building some wonderful community through her community trivia and community pantry. Thank you, Julie. From Lynn Wiley and Sam Bashirs. I assume this is a joy. Today is our 34th wedding anniversary. How the time does go by. Congratulations, Sam and Lynn. From Paul Kaiser. Joy and gratitude for the encouragement and support folks have expressed as the search for our family's lost cat, Smokey, continues. When we find him, we will tell him you cared. Paul, Willow, and Xander Kaiser. Sorrow from Amy Robeson. A year after my father passed away, his sole surviving sibling has also died. Rest in peace, Uncle Kenny. Waiting for my grandfather's iris to bloom around Memorial Day for a fitting tribute. From Marcia Clinard. After waiting for months, I am finally having a much-needed laminectomy on Wednesday. I am both excited and anxious. I am looking forward to being free of pain and able to walk again. Please send good thoughts. Absolutely, Marcia. Send in love to you. From David Gross. A great joy. Claudia Gross will not be undergoing pituitary surgery this year. After studying the second MRI, her neurosurgeon recommended doing nothing at this time and repeating the MRI study a year from now. And a sorrow from Kathy Ritchie. I am deeply saddened by the death of my Dallas friend, author Karen Blumenthal, this past week from a heart attack at age 61. She was a superb writer of nonfiction for young adults and an even better role model who supported my own writing projects through the years with enthusiasm and generosity. My sense of loss is profound. And from Kathy Richards, a joy, such good news to read about Sally Fritchie and learn she and her spouse will be joining our YRUU community in September. Welcome, Sally and Miles. From Phyllis Gorfain, Jordan's grandparents are joyous to hear his reflections and music and send congratulations to him and Emma Herzog. From Alicia Dusty, my grandmother has entered hospice care. It has been hard for our family not to be able to see her during this time, and I feel sorrow for her not to have support around her in person as she is dying. If you send in a joy or sorrow and it hasn't been read this morning, I promise you we will print it in the e-news this week. Just holding you all so tightly in my heart. One of the side effects of the COVID-19 epidemic is the loss of employment, the loss of livelihood for so many across the country, including in our own community where we already had significant food insecurity in some of our communities. In response to this, the Social Action Committee, others in the church have worked hard to set up a way that we as a congregation can provide real support, real ongoing support in the ongoing disaster unfolding in our community. I am so grateful that this has happened, and we have a few words from Sandy Hannum to share a bit about what that process will be. Thank you, Sandy, for offering this to us today.
Our community is hurting. Because of the COVID pandemic, businesses are closed, jobs are gone, temporarily or maybe even permanently. Unemployment and food insecurity are shockingly high. Many families, for the first time ever, are wondering where their next meal will come from, and it's frightening. People of color are suffering disproportionately more, both from the illness and from economic disaster. Many people of color who are still working have jobs that are considered essential, but the workers themselves may be treated as dispensable. They may be laid off without warning or forced to work while they're sick. The immigrant community has the added stress of worrying about the possibility of deportation. Because this congregation has always been so generous, Social Action knows that you will want to help. We have set up a Faithify fund to help alleviate suffering during this crisis. To make your donations have the most impact, we've created one fund to support 3 ongoing community projects: CU Better Together, CU Fair's Pandemic Response Fund, and the Red Herrings Bucket Brigade. Perhaps you've received a stimulus check that you really don't need, and you would like to donate it to people who really do need it. Or perhaps you are grateful that you and your family are doing okay, and you would like to help out people who are less fortunate. Please join with the Social Action Committee, the Racial Justice Project, and the Immigration Task Force in supporting this fund. Thank you.
If you were able to jot down that website address, if you go to our website, go to your e-news from last week, you should find a link to this. It's live. We can start receiving money and dispersing it immediately because it is a special disaster relief Faithify campaign. Faithify is a national UU crowdfunding platform. And we're grateful to the UUA for providing that so that we can support our community in this way. We're hoping that over the next few Sundays we will have a speaker from each of those organizations just telling you more about the work that they're doing. And now, at the close of our Joys and Sorrows time, we will have a time of reflection, prayer, meditation, holding all of these joys and sorrows in our hearts, and also the tremendous difficulty that is in our community. In a moment, you will hear the last hurrah reflection from Emma Herzog, her words of wisdom to us. She, of course, also grew up in the church with her parents, AJ and Steve Herzog, younger brother Daniel, and older brother Jonah that we heard from earlier in this service. She, as a teen, has been a passionate advocate for LGBTQ rights. She is an athlete, including, despite her size, being on the basketball team at the high school. She is working on a graphic novel currently, and she will be attending Knox College in the fall, hopefully, given the situation. Please, let's hear the words of Emma Herzog.
Well, it's been a time. I'm old now. You all are probably thinking, can she please be 4 again? Sorry. I have been quite open and honest about myself with this congregation, which is kind of ironic because I tend to keep to myself about most things. And in these past few months, I've been having this feeling of having no words, which I feel like a lot of people can relate to. No words to fill my million different journals, which are usually flooded on a daily basis. No words to describe the feeling of celebrating the end of senior year without my classmates. No words for how I feel about the future, which everyone is asking about and I don't have too many answers. I wish I had more words for this, but sometimes you don't need a ton. I am eternally grateful for the past 16 years at UUCUC. It's given me a place to rejoice, a place to mourn, a place to speak, to sing, to listen to others speak and sing, and to drink way too much hot chocolate and eat way too many cookies. What I'm arguably most grateful for, though, is the platform that this church has offered. It has given me many an opportunity to grow as a creator and performer. From the time I was a young kid in children's choir, I would grow accustomed to this supportive stage that was available to me whenever I wanted it. Whenever I felt like I had something to say, through speaking, through song, whether I be alone or with a group, it's been there. And yet it's never pressured me to step on the stage if I felt like sitting back and letting someone else speak, if I had no words. It is thanks to this welcoming stage that I've grown so much in confidence with myself and my abilities. What I leave you with is a lesson from Black Swan Green by David Mitchell, a book I read for an English coming-of-age class last year, which was hands down the best class I've ever taken in high school, which is to not give a toss. Don't care too much about what other people think of you. Obviously, you should care, as we as humans have been given the amazing gift of the ability to care. But don't spend too much time focusing on other people's impressions of you. Don't limit yourself. Don't shame yourself. Be yourself. Be human. There are billions of people in this world, but far too few humans. Thank you.
Thank you, Emma. And now we have a particular treat for you. Emily McCown, the youth coordinator, has written a song set to music from one of our traditional hymns, UU hymns, that is a song of blessing for our Bridgers. And it will be sung by a quartet of Emily, Elizabeth Field, Austin Cody, and Paul Kaiser. Here you go. Blessing song for you.
We account you as a blessing as you make this journey on. Strangers will see light within you that you've carried all along. When shadow comes, let it be your teacher. You have all that you will need for a bridge into tomorrow. We are grateful for your lead. Cherish this day and remember how once you were just so small. Patience and your great persistence beckons you to future's call. Steadfast through storms, grace through sunshine, your gifts are great to those in need. Be not afraid, for tomorrow our love grows with you like a seed. Blessed be.
Oh gosh, that was wonderful. Ever since I've been here, we've struggled to find a way to do a bridging service in the sanctuary without a bridge. We've tried various things. You've probably seen them over the last few years if you've been attending any of these services. And this year we were really not sure about how to do this. But Emily had the wonderful idea of going to Crystal Lake Park and using an actual bridge. Now, the video we're about to see is, it's a little rough around the edges. I'm trying out my ninja minister look. When Emma first saw me, her first response was, "I don't think I want to run into you in a dark alley," which is not what a minister usually wants to hear. But we did our best with the circumstances, which is our spirit. And I wish that you could have been there and seen them crossing that bridge, but you're going to get a little taste of it via video. And again, the symbology of the bridge is that as the youth cross, they are crossing from their families, from the arms of their families, and you'll see the families on one side of the bridge, to the world of adulthood, and the young adults greeting them on the other side of the bridge. And in the spirit of physical distancing, it's only Jonah representing all young adults in our church. But we, and Emily is also a young adult. So please enjoy this bridging service. And even though it happened a few days ago, let's have it be right now. Hello, this is the Reverend Florence Kaplow coming to you from Crystal Lake Park, an actual bridge in Crystal Lake Park. Our bridging ceremonies, which are one of our most wonderful ceremonies of the year, have always been somewhat hampered by the lack of a bridge in the sanctuary. And so, courtesy of this pandemic, we are able to do this on a bridge across the lake here at the park with the geese. And I also have Emily McCown here, our youth coordinator, and Jonah Herzog representing all of our young adults. Thank you, Jonah. And I would like to begin with these words of blessing and welcome. Childhood is ending and the world beckons, the journey outward to new adventures. We offer these blessings to you that you may know that wherever your life takes you, the teachings of this faith will support you, and the blessings of this congregation are with you.
Thank you for the gifts of who you are. Your laughter, your quirks, your deep thoughts, and showing up as we journeyed together. In sorrow and joy, we see that the world needs you and your journey into adulthood begins. We honor you for all you have been, all you are now, and all you will be. We pledge our love and support to you always.
We welcome you with joy to the young adult community in this church, or wherever you may go. We honor you for all that you have been, all that you are, and all you will be. As you cross over to us, we pledge our love and support to you always. Join us with our blessings.
We have seen you grow from acorn to oak tree. We cherished you at every stage of childhood. In sorrow and joy, we see that the world needs you, and your journey begins.
We honor you for all you have been, all you are now, and all you will be. We pledge our love and support to you always.
Gratitude for all your offerings and blessings as we step forward into new lives.
Please join us for the congregational words of congratulation and appreciation and blessing for our new bridgers. We honor you for all you have been, all you are, and all you will be. May what you have learned here support you,
and inspire you as we move together in deeper understanding of what matters and how we want to live. We are on this journey together wherever you may go. We pledge our love and support to you always.
Yay! Congratulations! Virtual hugs!
For our final hymn this morning, our Bridgers requested the song that they heard every Sunday when they were in the sanctuary and were sung to their classrooms. It is not the one we have currently been doing, so some of you may not be as familiar with this, but we thought it would be wonderful to sing it again just for them one last time.
As we leave this friendly place, love give light to every face. May thy kindness which we learn light our hearts till we return. As we leave this friendly place, love give light to every face. May thy kindness which we learn light our hearts till we return.
I have a little reminder here for each and every one of us. This is so important. Historically, it has sometimes been said that our YRUU bridging services are a bridge to nowhere, that we do not continue in relationship and support of our young adults, especially if they go away, but sometimes even if they're still in town. And so whoever you are and however well you know Emma and Jordan, please consider ways that you can maintain connection with them. Send them a care package partway through their year. Just continue to love them as you have loved them through all these years. They are still part of us. And let's make this not a bridge to nowhere. Whenever we have a service that honors a time of life transition, it is a moment to stop and reflect on our own lives. I have been so inspired this morning by what each of them said about what it has meant to them to grow up in this community. If you are part of this church, know that you are part of them as they go forward. You are part of the lives of the children who are growing up now in this church. And as each of us does our part here, we make a powerful container to help future generations grow into committed and deeply ethical adults. As many of you know, when we left our sanctuary, I said that there was a chalice extinguishing that I wanted us to do every Sunday until we are back in our sanctuary again. So please join me for the words of this chalice extinguishing that are found on your screen. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Many blessings.